Good morning. Let's take a nice, easy breath in and an easy sigh. Let the breathing come back to normal. It's nice to see you again. I thought I'd put my friend up. We talked about a little bit about totems. Being aware what your totem animals are. Those an animal or even a couple animals that you've been drawn to throughout your entire life. For me, the lion has always been one that I've had a really great connection with. Butterflies are another one that I've had a great connection with. Those are my two totem animals. One of my friends recently mentioned the fact, of course, that my name Drake also means a duck. And, I had never looked at that. It didn't seem quite as heroic to me as the lion or the butterfly. But, these animals are your totem, and these are your power animals, It's almost like you want to imagine an invisible tattoo on your back, of what your totem is. And during times of difficulty, it's a magical tattoo, and all of a sudden you feel something surge up. Your kundalini energy surges up, and that power animal comes forth. You have more power than you would ever dream of, because you're not just coming from yourself. You're coming from this primordial source. So just wanted to, again, mention the totem animal and introduce you to my friend. And also, I'd like to tell you just a very brief story, if I may. So I want to tell you the story of the magic chest. So, in this particular story, in this particular time, it was a very troubled time, time of war, many, 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 many years ago. And an individual had just gone through so much. He was caught and gripped in that state of existential fatigue. Just so many disappointments, so many lost opportunities, mistakes that he'd made, and so he was despondent. And he had a friend who came to visit, and this was a very, very wealthy friend, a friend with servants, who rode up in a beautiful carriage. And he came up to see his friend, and he saw that his friend, who he had grown up with, was really at the end of his rope. And he wanted to support his friend. So he had one of his servants, he clapped his hands and had one of his servants bring up a chest. It was this rather large, completely black chest. And he said to his friend, the poor man, he said, "I have for you a great gift. This is a magical chest. This is a great treasure." And so his friend embraced him, and they said goodbye. And as soon as his friend had walked out the door and he saw the carriage that had taken off, he ran back to the chest. And he opened this black chest, and it was heavy. He opened the top of it, and he looked inside, just really excited about what the treasure he was going to find within this chest. And so he looks in there, and all of a sudden he begins to start taking objects out, and it's just a bunch of junk, old toys, old newspapers, just knickknacks, just junk. And he became enraged, and he was just angry with his friend that his friend had played this cruel joke, and it felt like just another thing after so many things that had gone wrong. He slammed the top of the chest shut, slammed it shut, and with such force that a piece of paint was chipped off of the chest, and he saw in this chipped area that was gleaming gold, and he began to scrape. And suddenly he realized that the chest itself was solid gold. He realized that the chest was actually the treasure. It wasn't the objects in the chest. Now, this was a magical chest, and as soon as he realized that the chest itself was the gift, suddenly the objects in the chest were transformed. Instead of being meaningless or just junk, garbage, instead of elements that were disrespectful or disheartening, suddenly he realized that these were treasures, and the objects were actually heirlooms. The toys were collector's items. It was filled with objects of great value. So, of course, this story is about understanding this life that we're experiencing, and to recognize what is the gift in this. How could this be a gift? With so much ugliness, so much disappointment, so many things that have happened where people have taken advantage of us, or we got caught up in things and took advantage of someone else. It's about realizing that life itself is the prize. It is the magical prize. In recognizing that life itself is the gift, in recognizing that, what ends up happening is the objects of life are transformed. There's nothing in this world, nothing in this treasure chest that is going to make you happy. There is no person, no situation, and when you put that kind of pressure on it, either a relationship or a child or career or money or sex or anything at all, when you put that much energy into it and devote yourself to it as a be all and end, that's when it becomes just plastic fruit. Looks beautiful, but no nutritional value. But when we recognize that we can be in the world but not of it, when we recognize that there's something in the nonlinear, there's something about this whole thing here, and we're back here observing it. This is your life, and when you are back here observing it, then the elements in life are transformed. They begin to change. There's nothing in this world that is permanent. It's like soap bubbles. It will pop and change instantaneously. As bad as things have gotten in such a relatively short time, it can get better. So what I'm suggesting to you is to dedicate yourself as a retainer, as the samurai used to be called. They were a retainer. If you had a master, you were a retainer. Don't make it a business relationship. Commit to a life connected to the values of kindness and joy, no matter what. If everybody else turns into a zombie and a vampire, keep the connection. We can do this together. We can draw strength from each other. So let's draw strength from each other. You draw strength from me, and I'll draw strength from you, and I will step up in courage, even though things scare me. And believe me, all this is very scary to me. This is going right in the teeth of traditional fears. Call on your power. Be aware of what your totem animal is. Let that animal surge forth and do what you were brought here to do. But you can only do it by allowing yourself to be a conduit that power can flow through you, rather than trying to force life to be what you would like it to be. This is day 26 of our 40-day practice. We have 2 weeks left. 2 weeks. Step it up. Activate. Understand now that this is a time to create a new momentum. I'm going to ring the bell. I'm going to ask you just to listen carefully. Thank you so much for your time, as always. Let's be creative today. Let's wake up. Here we go. And I'm going to bring my hands into prayer position, and I bow to you, my friend, and I say to you, Namaste. So let's be amazing today, because if we are, the world will shift. Thank you.